Welcome to NLP Talks with Laura Evans, a podcast for people looking to unleash their potential in business and life. I'm Laura Evans, international trainer of NLP and host for this podcast series. Join me for insightful interviews with people that know firsthand just how NLP can change lives, and they'll share with you tips and strategies to help you clear your path to success. Stay tuned. And welcome to this podcast. My name is Laura Evans and I'm the founder and lead trainer at Unleash Your Potential and your host for this episode. My guest today is Jonathan Eatly. He is a financial planner, and in this episode we're going to cover all things money and wealth. Jonathan will explain to you exactly how NLP made the difference for him and his money mindset, the results he got after Prac and Master Prac, and also how he's managed to grow his business massively in the time since he's done his training. He's also going to share with you a technique so that you can better understand your values, which are critical to the motivation and success that you have. So let's get started. Can I get you to go back to pre-NLP, all the training that you've done? And where was your mindset around money and wealth for you personally at that point?
At the time, money, I didn't particularly know it, was actually a bit of an issue for me. It was very much, I wanted money, but I think the more powerful motivation was I didn't want to be without it, which obviously, as with NLP, we teach you that's probably not the most motivational way to look at money, because as you get further away from it, you have more of it, your motivation drops, and you find yourself back in a position of, I have less money. And that sort of looked like, personally, that my bank balance wasn't probably as flush as I would like it to be. And with business, being in a sales role that I was, my sales tend to have a very much of a sort of yo-yo up and down effect. And I think NLP was heavily focused from me from the start, and it was about, right, how do I change that mindset? How do I make it more positive around money?
I remember when you walked in on that very first course where I first met you, and you walked in and it was not the very first thing you said, but towards the beginning of that course, I remember you walking in saying, I've just hired my first person and I really don't know where to turn and how am I going to pay her? And I still remember that day. I guess you do too.
Yeah, it seems like a distant memory if I'm honest, but I can remember that. It was sort of the leap off the cliff for me, which was a good move business, but a very stressful move on the back of that. It was, how do I go now, not only effectively looking after my family, but looking after somebody else's. And I think, that was a heavy focus, particularly on that first course, the practitioner course, where it was, right, how do I change this concerns and pressures I'm feeling around employing my first member of staff?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And by contrast, how many people do you employ now?
We're at 10, I think.
Across the three businesses now?
3 businesses now, businesses. We've got 3 positions up for January as well, so we're recruiting a tranche now, so that's...
I love it. And I wonder what the former you at that point would have thought if, because what are we, 3 years, 4 years down the line,
maybe? 2.5,
Okay, so even less than I thought.
Yeah.
So 2.5 years ago, if you told yourself at that point, in 2.5 years' time, you'd have 3 businesses employing 10 people and about to expand. So you've got massive growth plans in your business to employ, up to 50, 60, 70 or more?
That's the plan over a 3-year period, yeah.
What would the former you have said to that idea, pre-NLP?
I don't even think my former me could have comprehended that sort of idea. I think it would have. I think going past 1 would have been tipping me over the edge at that point.
I love it. And that's what I just love, is the journey that we all go on, and the journey I went on when I did my first courses, and the way that the courses, and like you, I came to NLP for a specific reason, to acquire some skills to be able to help others. And then I found out that actually it was all about me. And until we sort ourselves out, and you as a financial planner, you must find that hugely different now that you have a different mindset around it.
Oh, absolutely. I think what you find, particularly in a sales-based environment, is if you do have any personal development needs, it's elevated. You could see it through your sales figures, and it was always an interest to me that how some of my previous colleagues could have the same level of training, same qualifications as me, and some succeed and some don't. And again, personality-wise, you can look at them and think that they're more personable than me, for example, and how haven't they made it? And I think with NLP, it sort of gives you the real insight into how that is. It's made massive amount of difference for me personally and for my businesses, I should say now.
Exactly. Don't forget them all.
Yeah.
I mean, I know as an aside line, you coach children in rugby as well and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And although that's not the topic of this episode, you know, in sport and in financial business, that mindset thing is so important. It's like you say, you take two financial planners that on paper are identical, yet one will succeed and one won't.
Absolutely, and that goes back to my history as well. I've got a history sport, rugby being my main sport, to quite a high level as well. So that was, again, you can see that I don't think it was necessarily ability with me, and you see it with the young children I coach now. They got the ability. It's trying to help them with the right, following that with the right mindset to allow them to develop into that ability that they have. So again, you can have the most talent in the world, but if your mind's not in the right position, you may never get to the place that you want to be with that, or could be.
Yeah, it's just that, it's like that mindset, isn't it? It undoes the success.
Oh, massively.
Because you think, you sit there and you think, I should be able to do this. I have the technical skills, yet I find some of these conversations difficult.
And it goes back to sort of the values as well. I think a lot of what I took from NLP and what I reflect on now is where my values sit and how that links in with the clients I take on as well. Yeah. So I think it's one of the things, you don't take people into your life that you don't, naturally sort of connect with. And I think that's very much on a values basis. Yeah. So, for example, if I value integrity, and if I have clients or staff members, for example, who don't value that and don't really go down the right side of what's right in my views, I think that gives you sort of scope of, am I the right fit for them? Are they the right fit for me?
Yeah. So, if I can just change tack slightly and come back and talk about your money mindset, because I'm fascinated by the journey. Obviously, I know it because I know you quite well. But in terms of helping the listener understand the journey that you've been on, because I remember distinctly seeing you and having a conversation with you about the personal financial success that you got after each of the courses.
Absolutely, yeah.
And there was a particular event that happened after you did the NLP Practitioner course, and then there was another event that happened after you did NLP Master Practitioner. So tell us what happened.
So I think it was all around the type of clients I was working with. I think it was a lot of limiting beliefs that I had about, who should engage with me as an advisor, and whether I was the right fit for the high net worth, business owners, the highly paid employed people, whether I was the right fit. And I think, after practitioner, I've engaged with my biggest client to date, which you value in it as X.
What do you think was the key thing that allowed you to be able to do that?
I think it's all personal. It wasn't. Reflected now, is nothing to do with the skill set I had. It was nothing to do with the qualification I had. I am confident in the fact, and I was then in my education side of the role. It was more limited beliefs in myself. I think that once I released them, I had no reservations about approaching them, speaking to these people, in environments, say networking environments or charity events where you're sitting on the table with them, or they're across the table. I have no reservation about walking around and speaking with them. The people at the end.
You wouldn't have done that before.
You wouldn't. It's that fear of rejection as well, I suppose, isn't it? And again, it goes back to relationships, but in a business context, it's there. Rejection's a big thing.
Oh, huge.
Particularly in sales, which you think is one thing you probably want to get over.
I would advise all salespeople in any sales environment to get over that, because it's a bit. But no, we do. As human beings, we we do fear rejection. We fear being left out. We doubt whether we're good enough. We have self-doubt. It's fascinating how that plays through and limits people, because there was nothing stopping you previously approaching those people other than you.
Absolutely. And I think that's what I got from practitioner level, is I'd have the confidence to go and do that. From master practitioners, again, I suppose my clientele elevated again, and I think my conversation with you, Laura, was that I've now landed my biggest ever client. It's to a different level now, and I find myself now working with a variety of different clients, but some really successful business owners. So I got some clients that other advisors would love to have.
I'm sure.
Not just financially, in the fact that they're great people with great businesses, and it's really entertaining and engaging in what they're doing in life. I think that was the big thing from Master Practitioner, was suppose having the confidence to let go some of the clients that didn't fit with my values and didn't fit with me as advisor, which tend to be what brings your energy levels down, and your engagement with them isn't as productive as the ones you engage with well. And I think it's understanding about who do I work well best with, I suppose, and how do I make it easy for them to engage with me, because effectively we are aligned in how we see things and values and things as well.
The thing I love about values, and we've touched on it a huge amount, is, in NLP, we talk about values being what's important to you, therefore it's what you focus on, and it's what motivates you.
Absolutely.
And so many people, not just in wealth and finance, but in all areas of life, they have motivation problems.
Absolutely.
Because they can't motivate themselves to do something. And often, not always, it's not fair to say always, but often I find there's a problem with their values, their motivation. It's like that. It's that thing we're talking about, which is I just need to create lots and lots and lots of money. Probably because they're motivated away from what they don't want.
Yeah.
In values we talk about, don't we, that you're either moving towards what you want or away from what you don't want. And that's a classic away from value behaviour that we see. And of course, as you and I both know, the problem with that is you end up with performance that's like a sine wave. So sometimes you're doing really, really well, and other times you crash. And there are some very famous people that are away from motivated. A lot of the general population will be away from motivated.
Yeah.
For all the limiting beliefs and problems that we've picked up as we've gone along, it's explainable and understandable. But not a healthy mindset to take forward.
At all.
It's like, if your bank balance is going up and down and up and down, it's bonkers.
And this is directly reflecting to me, and going back to our point earlier, Laura, about how with the NLP, what the first thing I noticed was particularly around money, and I had aspirations for how I wanted my lifestyle to be with my family. My parents are great. They provided everything that I could want, and they've gone from sort of council house owners to 5-bed, 6-bed houses on the beach side, and they've done really well through hard work. And I suppose that value is sort of instilled in me, but then the sort of the fear, the way from, wasn't supporting that. So when I first came to NLP, part of my goals was in and around money, because money for me is release that sort of lifestyle, but then going away from doesn't get you there, because as soon as you start getting more, you sort of naturally get back to you spend it.
It's the whole money's burning a hole in my pocket scenario, isn't it?
Absolutely. And then obviously what I've done through NLP is I've changed that now. So I'm motivated towards. So as I get more money, my motivation increases.
Yes.
So if so it's kind of, you can imagine that sort of upward scale. The graph would look pretty nice in that respect, rather than a sort of yo-yo effect. And that to me is amazing what it's done for myself personally, and that sort of released the fears in regards to recruiting and stuff, because that needed to happen for me to get there. So I get more motivated to do that because I'll get there sooner, so I'm much closer to that goal than I was before I started with NLP.
And it's a smoother ride, right?
Oh, massively, yeah.
And there's not the emotional roller coaster that comes with the kind of away from motivation, which goes like this. Yeah. It's scary. I mean, when I look back to being away from motivated like I used to be, and think about that emotional roller coaster, like 1 minute I'd have a lot of money, then I'd have nothing. Then I'd have a lot of money, then I'd have nothing. And it's exhausting.
It's draining. And actually, when you're probably emotionally at your lowest, when you have no money, your motivation's at the highest. So you're so much in conflict with yourself then. Your energy's lowest, but you're working hard in not a very healthy way, because they're now in a sort of a fear way that you're going to particularly run out of money, and then that releases, and then you just go straight back to where you were. And
that's the thing, like with away froms, and I always remember this from my training, when it was explained to me that the simplest way to think about away from motivation is it's motivation motivated by fear or by negative consequence. If I don't, bad things, in quotes, will happen, insert whatever word you like. But it's tough. So just to talk about Master Prac, because I know Master Prac, as we call it, Master Practitioner program, for those the official title. I know that was a pivotal part of the transition for you personally, but also the secondary. I think it's secondary benefit to your business. I know you came to us originally to help with that, but I think you probably agree that's the secondary benefit, right, after you've developed.
Yeah.
So out of Master Practitioner, What was the pivotal moment for you that changed everything?
It was within the breakthrough. So when we talk about breakthrough, we work with a breakthrough partner, and it's essentially we pull back on all our skills that we've learned, some of the softer skills, some of the more challenging techniques. And I can remember there was one particular technique, and I can't remember what in more context it was, but it was a parts integration, and it just floored me. And from an energy perspective, like for someone who hasn't really been in an environment of energies or psychology, I literally, it knocked me, so I had to lie down as much. So emotionally, these things are there. Yeah. And even if you try and stay away from them or not even think about them, they're there. And in that point, I think it was so much of a release. I could just feel the change. Yeah, it's very surreal.
Whatever it was a big deal, right? For you, because obviously, as we know, the mind and body are connected. So sometimes when we do significant mindset shifts, sometimes we'll physically feel exhausted. Absolutely. And I'm like you. If I do a really big shift, I want to lie down for 10 minutes or have a cup of tea or something and just kind of let that settle. Some people kind of call it the snow globe effect. Yeah. Like we had snow globes when we were kids, and you shake them and it all stirs up for a bit, and then it just settles back down again.
And you tend to find that afterwards. What I found is that I did feel after that maybe a bit loose and things had changed, but then things started embedding in the right way, unknowingly in the right way as well. Yeah. So it's not as if I've had to think my way through everything. Things have just happened. And I think that's a big sort of message for me, because I'm going back to the sort of away from, that's not what I'm saying is that my bank balance has never gone down. It has, but it's never become a concern. It's always been, I'm always destined to go somewhere. And that sort of belief side of what NLP has given me is, nothing sort of knocks me off track now. Yeah. Even if I've probably been in months when I've heavily invested, particularly in the business, my business bank account's probably the worst it's ever looked. But it's not the concern side of it. Yeah. And you tend to think like life sort of throws things to you. I think a lot of the listeners will probably feel that now. Some things will come to you and you don't really know when they did, and they were like perfect timing. You tend to find once you're in alignment, these things come more frequent, and good things tend to happen, and you start moving towards your goal, not with having every footstep towards that goal sort of planned out. Yeah. Very interesting stuff. Yeah.
I'm just sat here listening to you and listening to the way you're talking about this stuff, and I still remember the Jon that walked in on day one on Prac, and I just think, wow, for that to be so phenomenally different in your outlook, the success that you've already achieved, and I know you'll go on to achieve. I mean, I can't wait, give you another 5 years, and I'm just be like, where are you? How many businesses are you going to have, and how many staff will you have? I mean, it's just phenomenal. You must be hugely proud of what you've been able to achieve in a short space of time.
Yeah, sometimes you don't realise it's been such a short space of time. I think until we spoke today as well, 2.5 years. Thinking back on it just seems like a different life. In essence, I'm still me. Yeah, absolutely still me. But I suppose I'm just a better version of myself, and that transpires then through business and everything as well. So it's been a busy 2.5 years. Yeah. I give it, and same thing. My goal is set in the near future, and I got no doubt that I'll be there when I realign my goal and get something else in there as well. So.
I love it. I'm sat here feeling very proud. I hope you do, because I just think it's just phenomenal. It's phenomenal to be able to get rid of so much stuff that's held you back for so many years. I often describe our courses like helping people clean their glasses. Yeah. It's like people come into these courses with dirty glasses, and I hand them a rag and say, clean them. Yeah. As you'll know, and with NLP, and I'm not the one that does the training. I might be the trainer at the front of the room. I might be the person with the processes, the know-how, the knowledge and experience. But it's you guys that make the changes. You're the ones. I hand you the rag and you sit there and you clean them up and go, I can see where I need to go now. And actually, it's like, the famous mobile phone provider, the future's bright, the future's orange. It's that, isn't it? It's that different shift, and seeing people walk out of those courses 2 foot taller. I mean, it gets me out of bed every morning when I know the difference that this makes.
Absolutely. And going back to the analogy of cleaning the glasses, I think one big thing I'm a believer of now, as you know, because you've coached me as well since the courses, is dusting them glasses when they need a bit of dusting as well. Yeah. And keeping yourself into that energy. I'm very much a believer that you should surround yourself with good people, good coaches, if they want to be called coaches, or just good business colleagues, good friends. will put you in the best position to get to where you want to be. Because obviously, you've done a bit of, I suppose, called lifestyle coaching with me, shall we say. I've also got business coaches.
John, you can call the coaching I did with you whatever you like. But yes, I coached you, didn't I? For about 9 months, I think it was in the end.
Yeah. So again, it's I'm in a better place now than I was when I came off Master Practitioner. And my business is because I've got experts in coaching to do with business coming to help the business. So a big message to the listeners is you plan a lot around business aspects. You plan your education, whatever that looks like. But you get teachers to teach you education. You get people into business who are going to help you with HR issues or your IT setup. But a lot of the time, they don't even consider the biggest thing, which is themselves, and how they get the right coaching and training purely about themselves. Just on that. And healthy you, healthy business, healthy relationships, healthy bank balance.
I love it. I might have to coin that phrase.
I'll show you IP that.
Oh, okay, go on then. You can see that. So I know, obviously, we've talked a lot today about money, wealth, mindset around that, and the real importance of values and things like that. I wonder if you've got maybe a little technique or an idea or something you could share with the listener that they could do right now that would help them start that journey of getting more clarity around their future success.
Absolutely. And as we've been speaking, obviously, it's quite apparent the values are massively important to me. The right values, not just words on a piece of paper. So, the one particular exercise that anybody can do, listeners can do, roping in the assistance of someone they trust, is what we call like a values elicitation. So effectively, get you in the hot seat, get you in the seat, get your partner who's doing it with you to stand in front of a nice big sheet of paper on a whiteboard, wherever that looks like, and just question you, what's important to you in the context of whatever that might be, for money, for example.
Financial success or business or whatever.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so what's important to you about money? And just quick fire, just what words come out of your tongue.
Single words, yeah?
Single words. You don't have to think too much about it. Actually, what you want to tell your partner to do, the one writing the words down, is if you're stalling or you take your time, what's important, really push them, put you under stress, because when you're under stress, your conscious mind disappears and everything flies out your unconscious mind, and you want to get to a position where you're getting 50 plus words on a board, on a sheet of paper.
So what's important to you about and what else and what else and just keep on going until you literally stall and you cannot, no matter how much your partner's pushing you can't really get anything out. And I guess towards the end, I know when we've done it previously in class, you get to the point where people get repetitive at the end. And I would say, whoever's doing this with you, tell them that's okay. And for them to keep saying, what else, until you're completely empty.
Exactly.
And there'll be fits and starts, won't there? Like, absolutely, I remember when someone did it on me, I mean, we're going back a good few years now. Like, I was like, there's nothing else. I'm convinced there's nothing else. And I came up with another 30 words. So,
And they tend to be the best words, because you find that maybe the ones to the top of the list are more of your conscious thinking, nice value words that you've heard of and things like that. And some will come out and you'll be like, what's that word even mean? They're the ones you need to tell your partner. If you're like, okay, what happened there? Mark it, because that's probably an important one. So get to a position where they're quick fire around, getting them words out till you got about 50 on a board, can't get any more out, or you're repeating some of the existing ones and just going over old ground. And then for you to sit back and sort of reflect on these words to get yourself top 8, I'd say is probably a good one. And the way you do this is not start looking through the words and picking out the ones that you think fit best with what you're talking about. So if money and you think, oh yeah, that would work. It's not about what would work, it's about what you value. So actually when you're looking through his list, and that's why I make it as visual as possible, just find where your eyes sort of deviate and you keep on coming back to the same word. If you keep on coming back to it, put it on your list.
Yeah. And obviously it's as they are today, not as what they aspire to have, but as they are. So what's important to you as they are? If you could only have one, what would it pick?
Yeah.
And
that goes on then to prioritising the 8. So when say you've got 8, now you want to understand in what order they are. So the best question there would be, if you could only have one in the context of money, which would it be? So you have to get rid of the rest and you can only have one. Which one? And then pick the one. Say, right, you can have one more. What would that be? And continue that process until you have your list of 8 put into an order of priority. And there is your loosely what your values would be.
I mean, it'll never be as accurate as a proper elicitation, because obviously there are other steps that we do on the Master Practitioner program. But I think that's a great tip, because if the listener is currently not aware what their values are, or they think they know what they are, that's a really good way of starting to get close to what they really are.
Absolutely.
And then, like you and I, when we did our respective Master Practitioners, you sit there and look at the 8 and go, yeah, that explains a lot.
Absolutely. And then you start reflecting, then you say, if it was in the context of money, light bulbs start appearing and think, oh, that explains it. Yeah. That's it. That explains it. That's why you maybe felt uncomfortable with something you've done with money previously, probably because it didn't align with these set of 8 values. And you can sort of, going forward, reflect on these values and see how they fit in the context of what you're talking about. For example, in this money we're talking about here now. Yeah.
I think it's a great starting point.
Absolutely.
And of course, on the Master Practitioner program, what we then do is we go on to clean up those values, and we do timeline therapy, because of course it's timeline therapy that allows us to get rid of the away froms and flip all the values. So in this instance, all 8 can and have thousands of millions of times being flipped from completely away from to completely towards.
Absolutely.
That's when the magic happens.
Absolutely. And you may find as well in your list of values, you have some that don't fit in the context of what you'd like them to be.
Or in the context of the goal, right? Where you want to head.
Yeah. So if for example, if we use the example of money, and then there might be something in your values that's going to hinder you getting towards your goal of having money, then it's probably a good idea to maybe rearrange where that value sits. And that'll supercharge you on your way to achieving that goal then.
I remember once I listed a set of values for a business owner, not too dissimilar to yourself, a business owner, and we pulled their top 8 values, and in the top 8 values for their business, there was no money, no drive, no success, no achievement, and all the things that you would expect. There was plenty of connection and wanting to be part of a group and all that kind of stuff, and you kind of then look at who they are and you look at the success they've had or not had. And I remember showing the business owner that list and went, that's your top 8 business values. And he went, yeah. So yeah, hugely empowering stuff that we deal with. So yeah, it's been a massive pleasure to talk to you today. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us.
Thank you for inviting me.
You're very welcome. We have 2 final things to do, which you don't know what they are. So it's a surprise for you as much as it is for the listener. Right. So this is what we're going to do. I'm going to do a quick fire round. I'm going to ask you 5 quick questions, okay? And I'm going to put you on the hot seat. Listeners, you want to see his face right now. He's not looking very comfortable.
Panic.
Yeah, fine. 5 quick questions, and I want to know your immediate answer to all of them. And then we've got one final thing to do to finish off. All right? You ready?
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so first question is, what does unleash your potential mean to you?
Making me a better person.
Love it. Love it. If you could go back to an age, what age would you go back to?
7.
Is there a reason for 7?
Not I can think of right now. It was just unconscious mind just popped out 7. I don't know.
That's called trusting your unconscious mind, right? It knows. Yeah. It always knows the right answer. Oh dear. If you weren't doing what you're doing now, what would you do instead?
Lifestyle coaching.
Would you?
Yeah, in a business context, I suppose.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And if you had one pearl of wisdom that you could give to the listener based on all your NLP training that you've done, if you had one pearl of wisdom, what would it be?
Invest in yourself.
I love it. Beautifully done, sir. Beautifully done. Good. So here I have a jar full of badges. Okay, all with different words on. So what I'm going to invite you to do is shove your hand in, give it a whirl around, pick a few out, and then I want you to pick one that resonates with you, and then I want to know why you picked it.
All right, so I get to see. I thought it wasn't. It's not just.
No, you can pick them. So yeah, have it. Have it, and then if you can get your hand in there, and pick a few, and then might have to help you.
Yeah, there's quite a few. There's a lot.
Yeah, we haven't got Orte. Just
yeah, I'll go with that one.
You go with that one.
Yeah.
Cool. So what did you pick and why?
Confidence. Yeah.
Why did you pick it?
I think it's the basis of everything for me. I think from NLP journey, I suppose confidence was much lower than I thought it was, if I'm honest. And now everything for me is about confidence. If you're confident in what you do and confident in who you are, everything else will follow. I love it. It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much. That's all right. Now, if people want to get in contact with you, how do they get in contact with you? Yeah, I suppose the easiest way is engage with me on LinkedIn, Jonathan Eatly. Other than that, my website's eatlywm.co.uk.
Fabulous. Good stuff. Well, thank you. And if you want to find out more about the courses that we offer, feel free to go over to unleashyourpotential.org.uk/brochure, where you'll be able to download our brochure that explains all the courses that Jon has mentioned today. If you've enjoyed the podcast today, please share it with a friend that you think might be of interest to them. And also don't forget to subscribe and follow us. And that's it for today. Thank you very much for listening. We appreciate you being with us, and I will catch you very soon.